Some people walk into your life empty-handed. They bring no love, no promises, not even the courtesy of choosing you. And yet, you stay. Why is it love, or is it a wound trying to heal itself through another? Have you ever found yourself in love with someone who couldn't love you back? Someone who doesn't truly see you, but you still couldn't walk away like some invisible thread keeps pulling you in. You're not foolish. You're not weak. You're just reliving an old story, one you never realized was still being told inside you. Carl Jung once said, "We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. The people we love, the relationships we cling to, they're not random. They are the language of the unconscious. They are symbols of wounds that have never been named, and they rise through those we choose. Many think love is just emotion, but in depth, psychology, love is often a symbol. It's a mirror that reflects the parts of you you've never dared to face, the fear of abandonment, the shame of not being good enough, the forgotten need to be loved unconditionally. So what if I told you that the person who hurts you most is actually a living symbol of a part of yourself you've never healed, that you don't love them because they're special, but because your unconscious recognizes something familiar? You're not searching for love. You're searching for yourself through someone else. And that's why you stay. In the next part of this video, we'll go deep into the mechanism beneath this pattern, why the wound of not enough keeps drawing you toward emotionally unavailable people, why your unconscious keeps repeating old love stories even when your conscious mind says never again, and how to finally stop loving from lack and start loving from wholeness. Are you ready? Because this journey isn't just about relationships. It's about coming home to yourself. They never said it directly. No one came to you and declared you are unworthy of love. But you felt it. In the silence after your tears, in the conditional praise tied only to achievements, in the absence of a warm gaze when you needed to be seen the most. This is how the wound begins, not as a dramatic shatter, but as a slow erosion of self-worth. It is the quiet birth of the belief. There is something in me that must be fixed to be loved. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents." And many of us were born into stories not written by us, but for us scripts of emotional scarcity inherited from generations before. There isn't just one kind of childhood. There are thousands. But the imprint of emotional starvation tends to follow familiar patterns. 1. The distant parent. Your mother was always busy. Your father was physically present, but emotionally absent. You don't remember long hugs. You don't remember eye contact that lingered with love. Instead, love felt like a transaction. Be good, stay quiet, make no mistakes, and you might be noticed. 2. The critical parent. They never meant to hurt you. They thought they were preparing you for the world. Try harder. You can do better. Why can't you be like your cousin? Their love was laced with performance metrics. Praise was rare, and deep down, a young heart confused achievement with affection. 3. The chaotic home alcohol. Yelling. Emotional whiplash. One day affection, the next rage. Love was a gamble. Your nervous system never found peace. You became hyper-attuned to others' moods, always scanning for safety, for approval, for the storm. 4. The parentified child. You were the caregiver. Even as a child, you were the one soothing your depressed mother or walking on eggshells around a wounded father. You became mature for your age because your childhood was swallowed by the need to keep things together. Each of these stories and countless others leave a fingerprint on the soul. They create a blueprint. Love is earned. Love is unstable. Love is effort. Love is pain. So when you grow up and fall in love, it's not truly you choosing, it's the wound choosing. You're not falling in love with someone. You're falling into a symbolic reenactment. Your unconscious says, this time, if I get them to choose me, the past will be rewritten. But the past does not rewrite itself through others. It can only be rewritten through you. You meet someone emotionally unavailable. They're hot and cold. They don't fully show up. But your mind starts racing. Maybe I'm the one who can unlock them. Maybe if I just love enough, they'll finally see me. You don't love freely. You love as a job applicant trying to earn approval. You're not present in love, you're performing. In Jungian terms, this is shadow material in action. You've disowned the part of yourself that once felt unloved. And now it plays out through projections expecting others to do the emotional work you've postponed within yourself. What's dangerous is that this kind of pattern doesn't feel irrational. It feels magnetic. There's chemistry. There's a spark. But it's not true connection, it's trauma recognition. Your nervous system recognizes the chaos, the ambiguity, the distance. It reminds you of home. So you stay, not because it's safe, but because it's familiar. Here's the paradox that keeps you stuck. The one who can't love you becomes your emotional savior. You assign them a sacred task. Prove that I am finally worthy of love. But that burden doesn't belong to them. And no matter how much they change, it's never enough. Because the wound isn't outside. It's inside. Picture a woman named Elise. She grew up in a home where affection was scarce. Praise was academic achievement-based. Every time she got an A, she received a hug. When she failed, the house went quiet. As an adult, Elise dates men who are distant, high-achieving, emotionally closed off. She pours herself into them. She bends. She waits. She explains away their silence. He's just focused. He's been hurt before. He's not ready, but he sees me. But none of it is true. She doesn't love him. She loves the version of herself that will finally feel enough if he chooses her. And so she suffers not from love, but from her own unmet need to be chosen. If any of this feels like your story, pause. You're not broken. You're not the only one. There's a reason healing often begins in community. When we share our stories, something beautiful happens. The wound loses its power. The shame begins to melt. That's why we created this channel, not just to explain Jungian ideas, but to create a shared space of awakening. If you see yourself here, drop a comment. Share your experience. You never know who else you might be helping find their own mirror. So far, we've explored how your earliest emotional patterns shape your romantic life. We've seen how the wound of not enough creates a gravitational pull toward those who cannot love you back. But the psyche is not cruel. It's symbolic. Everything that repeats is asking to be completed. In the next part of this video, we'll dive into the mechanism of repetition, why you're drawn again and again to the same kind of person, how projection works as a psychological defense, and how awareness breaks the pattern and begins the healing. Because you can't change what you don't see. But once you see it, you are no longer at its mercy. Let's keep going. The journey inward has just begun. There's a strange moment in life when you meet someone and feel as though you've known them forever. The way they look at you, the way their voice feels familiar. You call it chemistry, you call it connection. But in many cases, it's projection. Carl Jung wrote in Ion. The unconscious always seeks expression, and if it is not made conscious, it will project itself upon others and be lived out as fate. In simpler terms, Your unconscious doesn't stay hidden. If you do not face it, it will live through the people you meet, the relationships you enter, the stories you keep repeating. You don't fall in love with them. You fall in love with what they awaken in you. Let's say you meet someone emotionally unavailable. They're distant, elusive, mysterious. Something inside you lights up. You want to be chosen by them. But what's truly happening beneath the surface? Your unconscious says, I know this energy. This reminds me of a parent I could never reach. If I can make this person love me, I will finally feel enough. What you're doing is not love. It's a symbolic reenactment. You're not relating to the actual person. You're relating to the image your psyche has cast onto them. Jung called this projection, and it's not a flaw. It's a function. The psyche is symbolic. It doesn't just feel, it remembers. Take the story of Jordan. Jordan grew up with a father who was present physically but emotionally locked. No hugs, no vulnerable conversations. Just a stern voice and a distant gaze. Now in his 30s, Jordan finds himself drawn to women who are ambiguous, emotionally cold, yet oddly magnetic. He says things like, she's not open, but I feel like she has a deep soul. She's been through a lot. I want to be the one who helps her trust again. But after months, even years of pursuing such women, he's exhausted. Each time the story ends, the same, she pulls away. He's left shattered. He's not in love with them. He's in love with the chance to heal something unfinished with his father. His unconscious doesn't want the woman. It wants resolution. This is the essence of projection. We mistake the person for the part of ourselves we've never healed. In the Red Book, Jung encountered this directly. He wrote of figures appearing in dreams and visions, personifications of inner realities he had never met in the outer world. The soul demands your folly, not your wisdom. What you call the world is a projection of yourself. This wasn't metaphor. This was revelation. The world becomes a canvas. The other becomes a mirror. And the soul, if ignored, will show up through the face of a lover, a partner, a stranger. You might ask, but what if my partner is genuinely amazing? What if we do have a real bond? The answer: projection doesn't cancel reality. It colors it. In the early stages of love, we all project. We see them not as they are, but as we need them to be. Later, if we do our inner work, we begin to see more clearly. Love becomes conscious. You stop needing them to complete your story. But if the projection stays unconscious, you repeat the same cycle believing it's fate. When in truth, it's just the past replaying itself through a new mask. The more unconscious the wound, the stronger the projection. If you've never healed your shame, you'll project it onto others as judgment. If you've never healed your abandonment, you'll chase those who leave. If you've never faced your rage, you'll be drawn to people who provoke it. And you'll keep asking, why do I always choose the wrong person? But the real question isn't why them. It's what part of me chose them, and why healing begins the moment you pause and say, this attraction feels familiar, but not healthy. You ask, who does this person remind me of? What am I hoping to prove by winning them over? It takes courage, because projection dissolves when the truth appears. You might realize you're not in love at all. You're in repetition. You're chasing a story your inner child never got to finish. But here's the sacred turn. You can finish it now. Not through them, but through you. If you're sitting in this truth, feeling exposed, raw, maybe a little shaken, you're not alone. This is the path of individuation. It doesn't look like a romantic movie. It looks like facing yourself in the mirror and saying, I've been here before, but this time, I choose differently. That's why this community exists. To hold each other in the in-between. To remind each other you are not your projections. You are the one who sees them, who can outgrow them. If this resonates, share your story in the comments. You'll be surprised how many others are walking the same path. Now that you've seen how projection works, the next question is this. What happens when you mistake projection for destiny? When you believe intensity equals love? In the next part of this series, we'll explore the confusion between trauma and love. Why your nervous system might mistake chaos for connection. How trauma bonds form and how to recognize them. And the difference between real love and emotional survival patterns. Because awareness is not the end. It's the beginning of conscious choice and conscious love. Let's keep going. You've recognized the wound. You've seen the projection. Yet your heart still flutters at chaos, still aches for connection in ways that feel like love but leave you depleted. Why? Because your nervous system is wired to confuse pain with intimacy. And until awareness brings clarity, this pattern continues chasing, burning out, questioning again. True love nurtures, but unresolved trauma hijacks your biology. Your nervous system readies for danger, not safety. Emotional volatility floods your senses with adrenaline. You mistake conflict for connection because that was all you ever experienced. Jung understood this in the depths of the Red Book. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. When trauma is mistaken for love, your biology believes chaos is normal. You feel alive, not because you're loved, but because your system has grown addicted to emotional turbulence. Trauma bonds aren't bonds of choice. They are bonds forged in need and fear. They happen when kindness is unforeseen, withdrawal triggers grief, and reconciliation feels like relief. You equate struggle with depth, intensity with intimacy. But in truth, you're trapped in a cycle. Pull, push, relief, withdrawal, reunion. This cycle mimics addiction, feeding on hope and pain. Jung named it the delayed individuation. The unconscious still seeks resolution in another rather than within. True love expands you. It doesn't shrink your breath. It offers you space, not confinement. It's steady, not conditioned on dramatic highs or silent withdrawals. In a healthy bond, you feel seen without proving you're enough. You rest in presence, not in performance. You choose together, not chase alone. That's not fantasy. It's possible when you choose you first. The first step is questioning intensity. Pause when emotions spike, when longing becomes ache. Ask yourself, am I seeking a partner or a wound to complete me? Do I feel safe, or am I just more comfortable with discomfort? This awareness, even in solitude, gives you back your freedom to choose with love, not urgency. If your heart echoes with this journey, you're not alone. This community is more than viewers. It's a sanctuary for awakening hearts. Comment below. When did I confuse chaos for love? What intentional choice healed me? Your story may be the mirror someone else needs. Healing multiplies in community. Now that we've explored trauma's trap and the ethics of conscious love, a powerful question emerges. What does it actually look like to heal from the inside out, to rebuild your nervous system's sense of safety, to open to connection without fear, and to embody true love both for yourself and with another? In the next and final part, we'll dive into practical tools, nervous system regulation, journaling prompts, safe boundary practices, reparenting the inner child, the myth of true love, embracing wholeness before seeking wholeness in another. Are you ready to reclaim your heart? Imagine standing at the edge of a forest, the path ahead, both dark and inviting. You whisper, "Maybe this time this person will heal the parts of me still shattered." But is that real hope, or just a longing draped in illusion? Carl Jung wrote in Memory's Dreams, "Reflections in all chaos? There's a cosmos in all disorder, a secret order." He meant that true healing requires clarity, recognizing chaos, not mistaking it for transformation. Wishful hope. This is the kind that whispers, "If they loved me enough, everything would change." It's built on fantasy, on a partner who becomes a mythical healer, fixing what was never theirs to fix. True healing. Hope. This hope is grounded in your own readiness. It says, "If I choose to heal myself, no matter who loves me, I will be whole." It empowers, rather than depends. It says, "I will become my own healer." Wishful hope seeks rescue. You cling to signs, a random text, a spark of warmth, a promise unkept. You hope the next moment will mean you're finally seen. Healing hope seeks presence. You ask, "What does healing feel like inside me?" You turn away from chasing others and toward caring for yourself. Wishful hope holds you captive. Real hope frees you to choose. Meet Sam, who believed his partner would heal his loneliness. Every affectionate moment felt like proof, until the pattern repeated again: distance, fear, withdrawal. Sam realized too late that he had been editing out red flags to sustain his story. He had fallen in love with the idea of him being healed, not with the actual journey. True hope doesn't excuse away problems. It sees them. It names them. Then it chooses, one moment at a time, to step toward healing. This means practicing self-care with intention. Sleep nutrition movement, not to fix yourself, but to support yourself. Setting boundaries. Gracefully. Not out of anger, but self-respect. Journaling as witnessing. Asking, "What did I feel when they ignored me? What old part of me is triggered?" Developing community patience. Healing isn't instant. It's evolving. Share the tremors, the triumphs, the tears. True healing hope says, "I deserve more than my wounds." It doesn't ask others to save you. It invites you to save yourself with kindness. That is where empowerment truly begins. If any of this resonates, if you've held hope for change through someone else, pause. Write in the comments, "What felt like healing, but was really hoping someone else would fix me? How did I choose myself instead?" In our shared stories, real hope takes root. Your authenticity becomes another's courage. As we near the end of this journey, a question emerges. What conscious steps will you take next? In the next and final chapter, we'll explore inner reparenting rituals to nurture your wounded child. Creating a safety map, practices you can use daily to regulate your nervous system. Conscious love. Blueprint. How to approach relationships from wholeness, not lack. Because hope without action is just fantasy. And healing begins when hope gives shape to our choices. Are you ready to walk the path from yearning to becoming? You felt the ache of projection, recognized the chaos of trauma bonds, and learned to distinguish real hope from wishful hoping. Now, you stand at the threshold of a deeper transformation, individuation, Jung's sacred path to becoming fully you. Carl Jung described individuation as coming to selfhood, an inner architecture of light and shadow woven together in wholeness. This is not about fixing who you are, but discovering and integrating the full compass of your being. Begin by writing. Not to explain or change, but to listen. Morning pages. Free flow writing for 10 to 15 minutes. Let your unconscious speak. Don't censor. Ask what feels alive or tense today. Shadow questions. Choose prompts. Like, what do I fear others will discover about me? When did I feel least seen, and what did that teach me? What emotion am I running from? Relational debrief. After any emotional interaction, journal. What triggered me? Why write it as if your inner child speaks through the pen? Over weeks, patterns emerge, shadows showing themselves as threads. This is individuation in motion. Healing is not just mental, it's ritual and embodiment. Inner child altar. Dedicate a space, a candle, a childhood photo, a comforting item. Light the candle and speak to the younger you, offering words like, "You were seen. You are safe." A compassion letter. Write to that younger self. Acknowledge her hurt. Express empathy. Sign as the adult who has come to witness. Anchored breath. When upset, place your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly. Think I'm here. I'm enough. Hold yourself. These small acts accumulate emotional safety inside where it was once absent. This is Jung's method for meeting your shadows and inner guides. Create a quiet space. Sit with a question. What does abandonment look like inside me? Close your eyes. Let images, voices, or feelings emerge. Don't judge. Let them speak. Afterward, draw, write, or record what surfaced. Active imagination is a bridge between conscious and unconscious, where hidden parts show their faces and begin to be seen, not feared. Individuation isn't a solo quest, it's found in witness. Therapy. A Jungian or depth therapist helps you navigate complex feelings and transforms your healers into your own resources. Group work. Join a shadow work or healing circle safe spaces where stories are shared, grief is witnessed, and echoes become human connection. Mentorship. A guide who's walked the path can reflect your blind spots back with warmth and clarity. Individuation requires love with clarity. Say no when something drains you. Say yes when something invites growth. Let boundaries be your path, not retreat. You are not walking away because you fear intimacy. You are walking toward integrity. Post a comment below. What journaling prompt opened a mirror for you? What active imagination session surprised you? Your experience lights the way for someone else. In this community, one voice becomes many, and each sharing makes the path less lonely. You've stepped from wound to projection, from trauma bond to conscious love, from wishful hoping to intentional healing. Now the final chapter awaits. In the conclusion, we will reflect on the entire journey from emptiness to fullness. Offer a guided ritual tying together presence, shadow, and hope. Invite you deeper through community practices, videos, and living consciousness. Because individuation isn't a concept, it's a lifestyle. You're not expected to be whole before love. You become whole, and then you love differently. You have walked with me through the winding corridors of your soul, through the ache of childhood, longing, the chaos of projection, the seductive trap of trauma masquerading as love, and the fragile line between healing and self-deception. Now, as the dust of awareness settles, I ask you to pause. Not to search outward, but to feel inward. Who are you beneath the ache, beneath the roles, the proving, the chasing? Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." To awaken is not to be perfect. It is to become aware. And from awareness, wholeness is born. You were never broken. You were just buried under stories you inherited, under wounds you didn't choose, under silences where love should have been. The people you chased weren't evil. They were mirrors. They showed you where the inner child still waited to be chosen, not by them, but by you. When you finally turned inward, when you dared to name the ache not as failure, but as invitation, the alchemy began. That's individuation. That's awakening. You no longer had to beg for love because you are love. What if you stopped running from solitude and let it teach you its sacred song? What if the story ended not in a lover's arms, but in your own? The way out has never been to find someone new. It has always been to find your true self and return to her, again and again. What wound did this video awaken? What part of me felt seen? Where am I still bargaining for worth? Write it below in the comments. Not to impress, but to express. Because your voice matters. And someone somewhere is waiting to hear that they are not alone. I invite you to stay on this path with me, not because I hold your answers, but because, like you, I'm walking home to myself. Subscribe to this channel if you want more than just information, if you crave transformation. Because each video here isn't just content, it's a mirror, a guide, a light. Hit that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. The next step in your individuation journey. One that leads not to perfect love, but to true love rooted in wholeness. Remember this. You don't need anyone else to call you worthy. You only need the courage to stop abandoning yourself. And when you do, something changes. The chaos calms. The ache softens. You begin to choose differently. Not from fear, not from hunger, not from the hope that this time they'll stay, but from a place of sacred enoughness. You are not a wound. You are the healer. You are not just the broken mirror. You are the light trying to shine through. And your wholeness has never been missing, only waiting to be remembered. What part of my inner self am I ready to reclaim? Share this video with someone you love who might be living the story you just walked through. And if this touched you, if this feels like home, subscribe, and let's walk this path together. Because healing isn't a destination. It's a return to the self you've always been. Until next time, remember, you are already whole. You are already enough. And you are not alone.